welcome to the DMA Day 2. We're really excited to have Bonin here. Can you just introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Bonin Bough, and I am Chief Growth Officer of Bonin Ventures. We are a growth acceleration firm.
Very cool. So, as a growth acceleration firm, it sounds great. What do you do there? What do you
So we
focus on?
basically try to help companies, primarily companies that we take a significant stake in, and we try to help take that business and swing the pendulum as humanly fast as possible to get them either distribution, clients. You know, the good news is my background gives me access to probably any brand marketer on planet Earth.
Great. So you're making a lot of the connections to tie brands together and to
exactly.
bring them to market. Very cool. And you hosted the Echo Awards last night,
I
correct?
did host the Echo Awards last night.
How did that go? Was it fun?
It was good. It was my first of those kind of that intensity of hosting an award show. I mean, you know, you host some of these awards and you like but that was like band and like dancing and like jumping. So
were you dancing and jumping on stage?
I was dancing and jumping.
Very
on stage.
nice. Oh, I can't wait to see the clips.
It was fun. We had a good time.
Very nice. Now, what are you most excited about coming up in 2019?
I'm a big fan of messaging. So we have 22 companies in our portfolio that deal with message technology. The most amount of we have a smaller number that are like the ones we really focus on. The most amount of human attention in the world to date happens inside of messaging, but yet you can't buy any of that human attention. There's no inventory, with the exception of stickers, gifts, and emojis, which we own a piece of one of those companies as well. There's no inventory. So we have a new company called Open Message, which is basically publishing inside visual messages, which look beautiful, but also allow for conversational commerce, so you can text to buy, stuff like that. We believe that it's also a data platform, so Open Message is one, but we also believe that it's a platform that will transform traditional commerce. So we have a baby food business that is text to buy, just like Dirty Lemon. We've got a local deals and offers platform, which they were here earlier this week, which is out of Iowa, which is a machine, a rocket ship right now, and that's basically you receive twice a week local deals and offers, and people wait online, standing around the corner for when the Chick-fil-A deal goes out. And then the great thing is they also share it with their friends. So for the first time ever, we're seeing the ability to use these platforms as sharing platforms. We've got another company that reinvents your phone book. You know what's crazy is that your contacts are as dumb today as your Rolodex was, 70 years ago. Right now, if you want to take out your phone and search for every single investor that you knew, or every single brand marketer, or whatever, you couldn't. That's insane. And this is where the most important people in your life live, but yet you can't do anything with it. And even more than that is once you begin to have conversations with them, you have no analysis on the health of that relationship. How much do you text your potential sales target versus they text you back? And that's where business is happening there. And so we believe it's the reinvention of retail, the retail salesperson. We have functionality in that. It's called Superphone, which does things like never lose touch. So if I haven't talked to you in a week, send you an automatic message that says, hey, it's been too long. These are people who I really care about. Show me the 5 people that you talk to. I'll show you what you'll accomplish. And yet we have no intelligence, and there's no way that you can manage. And this is where our attention is. So we believe that is a frontier that's massively untapped and going to be probably one of the biggest markets in the next 3 years.
Very nice. So now are you incorporating levels of AI to help automate that? AI
goes into that. We have AI on the Open Message platform, AI in Superphone. So yeah, machine learning, AI is a part of it. But just basic functions. So we also have an ad server in Open Message, so I can serve you ads alongside content. So publishers can now own their audiences versus being throttled. They can own their audiences. They can publish directly to you, and then we can slot in commerce opportunities. Or let me give you an example. 2.6 trillion business-to-consumer messages are sent every year, but not monetized. So one example is you walk into a restaurant and you pay using Square. Square then sends you a receipt over text. Well, why can't that restaurant also send you an offer to come back for 10% off a meal? It's mind-blowing that that's not being done. And so, that's where we believe a monetized future of messaging will exist, and we're, as a portfolio player, on the front end of that, and we have the largest portfolio, I think, in the space today.
Wow. So now most of your companies that you invest in, it seems to be on the distribution and execution side versus the content and the creative side, correct?
Well, Open Message works with publishers, but we are now looking at content players. First, we want to get the infrastructure components down, the stuff that is, enterprise and infrastructure, like payments, P2P messaging, customer service, stuff like that. And then now we're looking at content players. We've got a new video player, VBoard, which auto-plays videos in. So now we're looking for, okay, what are the publishing mechanisms? Can I use that for sports or gossip, or like what does that world look like? So yeah, we're now expanding into the content side.
Very nice, very nice. So now what keeps you up at most at night?
Everything. My brain.
One of the 22 companies.
Yeah, one of them. You know what keeps me up at night really is the fear of being irrelevant. So I'm a relentless, voracious learner. I need to learn new stuff every single day, and I usually give a talk called Hackonomy. I'm giving it tomorrow actually, but a talk called Hackonomy, which talks about how do you create value by breaking things. And the most important thing to do is to break yourself and your thinking in every single day, so that you reinvent anew. And so to me, that's what keeps me up. That's how I was when I was at Mondelez as Chief Media and E-commerce Officer. That's how I operated when I was at PepsiCo, or we just recently had a beauty business that we just sold to Unilever. So that's what keeps me up.
So you said you're a voracious learner. So talk about how do you stay on top of trends? Is it just reading the industry publications, attending conferences like this? What do you?
It's speaking on stage and coming down, and then hearing everybody come up to me and talk. Like that's how I have been able to stay. How I've been able to see where industries, and it's not just this industry, but where industries are going, because after I speak, there's usually a line, and then it's like high throughput learning for me right there. So that's, but also attending conferences that are outside of your realm. That's where I think most people, this is a cacophony of the same, you can go, it's an amazing event, and there's a lot of amazing speakers and panels, but if you really are honest, 70% of the content, now they're delivering it different way, is kind of circling around the same concepts. And so, what you really want to do is find, I'll go to Space Expo and just see what's happening with, CubeSat technology, and what they're doing with satellites. In fact, I tried to put Tang back into space when I was there, and then Ori on the moon. But I'll spend time at physics shows. I know that sounds crazy. I was a physicist. I was a physics major in college, so it's kind of interesting to me to see where. Short resume. It's kind of interesting to see where. I was also a teacher. I taught at graduate school in NYU for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Part-time, of course. It's just interesting to see where optics are going now. And so, I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, one last question. What is your advice to marketers today?
Get outside of the building. Honestly, spend as much time outside of the building as humanly possible. Because your consumer doesn't live inside of the building. The only thing that lives inside of the building are the same ideas that are being beaten around and batted around that building for, a decade. Really. And I used to be told, if you're not inside the building, you're not working. I'm like, no, you're wrong. If I'm inside the building, I'm definitely not working, because the consumer is outside and the world is changing outside. Those, that little box that you live in is not where, it's just not where the consumer is. And so I think, and then you get sayings like, I want to do what's right for the business. I get that. But what's right for the business is to do exactly what you're doing today. Why don't we do what's right for the consumer? Because the consumer is constantly changing, and it's those deltas of consumer change where real value is created. Look at all the D2C businesses that have been created. Why didn't CPG companies build those businesses? 10% growth. Instead, we'd rather pay $1 billion to buy one versus, that was so easy. That was right in front of their noses. Like, I built the first ever direct-to-consumer Oreo. So we ship personalized Oreos. It's a 102-year history of Oreos, and this is the first DTC, but it's just mind-blowing to me how so many of those consumer delta changes that you see naturally coming are lost. I was asked one time by a senior leader, will people ever buy Oreos online? They were just like, what kind of question is that? Like, what? Of course they will. Now, the bigger question is, how big can that market be? The market is limiting. I think 10% of food is probably where we're going to be for the next 5 to 7 years. And you have to ask yourself then, is the effort enough to spend on that? But ultimately, that consumer shift is usually where growth is, so I would argue it is. So there you go.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It's been an
Pleasure.
honor to have you here.
Pleasure.
Great
Pleasure.
meeting you.